All right, we're back. And another problem at birth is if we have a baby who's low birth weight or very low birth weight. So, first off, what is normal weight? Well, average weight is between 6 pounds 9 ounces and 7 pounds 11 ounces. That means the vast majority of babies are going to fall in that range. So, 6 pounds 9 to 7 pounds 11. We're going to call it low birth weight if a baby is 5 pounds 8 ounces, which is 5.5 pounds, or less. That's low birth weight. And by the way, this is for a baby that's full term. If you have a baby that's delivered early, they would be low birth weight, but for their age, right? So you would want to say, well, how much should a 38-week fetus weigh versus a 40-week full term baby? So this is 5.5 pounds at full term. Very low birth weight would be a baby that weighs less than 3 pounds 4 ounces would be very low birth weight. So we're looking at full-term babies who are weighing significantly less than they should. So what causes low birth weight? Well, the most common cause of low birth weight is being preterm. So being less than that weight, but being much early, we're going to take into consideration that this is a baby who probably weighs what it should have for this age. You know, if you're being born at 24 weeks gestation, we're not going to expect you to weigh 7 pounds, 6 ounces. Like, that's not going to happen. So it's being preterm causes babies to be light, but we want to make sure that we're taking into consideration how many weeks gestation they are. Where we're really concerned is full-term babies who are significantly underweight, and the most common cause of that is prenatal malnutrition. Even here in the U.S., where we have access to all sorts of food, a lot of food that we have is not necessarily nutrient dense. So we have junk that fills your belly but doesn't really give a lot of nutrition through your bloodstream to your offspring. And so prenatal malnutrition, you may have a person who's eating plenty of calories, but they're not containing the kinds of nutrition that they need. So in other parts of the world, it might literally be that the mom has gone hungry. But here in the U.S., we're talking about oftentimes the mom isn't necessarily hungry, but her baby is not getting what it needs. The effects of low birth weight, you end up at birth with a baby who's less responsive. They may be more likely to have respiratory distress and just general distress where they're not functioning well. As they get older, we're going to see that their motor development may be delayed. And if we're talking about a baby that was preterm, anytime you're looking at their outcomes, you always want to have their corrected age, because you have to remember that their birth date is a misrepresentation of how old they were when they were born, right? So you have to kind of correct for that. So if everybody else is sitting up at 6 months, but this baby was born 2 months early, you would expect that baby to sit at what they are called 8 months. But in reality, that's them 6 months, because you forgot about the 2 months they didn't gestate. So you have to keep that stuff in mind. So you have to be really cognizant of that. So I'm going to focus on full-term babies who are low birth weight. They're going to have slow motor development compared to other babies their same age. Higher mortality rate. Babies who were not, who are underweight, don't have enough fat reserves to support themselves between feedings. There's so much that can go wrong as a function of not having been fed properly while in the womb. All right, enough negativity on the birth problems. Let's get to they're out. They are now in what we call the newborn phase. From the moment of birth till they are 6 weeks of age, they are going to be considered newborns. Now, because I've been mentioning preterm stuff, remember, you have to adjust everything for a preemie. So, they're 6 weeks from when they would have been 40 weeks old, 40 weeks gestation. All right. So again, this is going to be a series of videos that I'm going to intersperse with this so that it makes it clearer what we're talking about. So reflexes, these are behaviors that must be performed given a proper stimulation. This is not something that the baby learns to do. This is something that is pre-wired in them. And if you give them the proper stimulation, they have to do the behavior. It's a reflex. So there are two main categories of reflexes. There are the adaptive reflexes. Here we have a baby who's displaying the adaptive reflex of latching on to things and sucking on them. These are considered adaptive because they help the baby to survive. So babies that put things in their mouth and suck on them are more likely to actually get nutrition, right? Babies who cry are more likely to get the attention of their caregiver and then get nutrition, or wrapped in a blanket because they were cold, or whatever is causing them to cry, right? So crying would be an adaptive reflex. They can't help it during the newborn period. They're doing it because they have to. So they cry reflexively. If their stomach's empty, they'll cry. If they're too cold, they'll cry. If they're too warm, they'll cry. If something's poking them, they'll cry. They have to do it because they're not in a perfect state of comfort, so they have to adaptively cry. So those are interesting and stuff like that. But of course, what catches my attention are the other reflexes that serve no purpose. These are called primitive reflexes. They not only aren't helpful, in some cases, they might even be a little bit counterproductive. Like one of the primitive reflexes, up in the upper left corner, they're calling it the tonic neck reflex. If their head goes backwards, they tend to display what's called the startle reflex, or the Moro. It has lots of names. It's also called the Moro reflex. I would like to argue that that reflex is not helpful and is in fact maybe harmful. Because if you've ever been carrying a newborn in the dark, after having fed them in the middle of the night, you're trying to put them back in their cradle to sleep, and they arch their back and pull in their legs and stuff, they become really hard to hold. And it's like, why would you make this harder on me? I'm staggering around half asleep as it is, and now you went rigid? Come on. And it's because their head kind of rolled. And so then their body went into this Moro reflex where they become stiff. So I would not only argue that these are no longer adaptive, maybe they were helpful at some point in our ancestral history, but they might actually in our current state be harmful. So we've got the grasp reflex. We have a stepping reflex that's pretty cool. What looks like the precursor to crawling, that a newborn can't crawl, but they can display these reflexes that kind of look like they are going to be able to do some things that they can't really do yet. I'm going to let this nurse who's going to explain to us, here's my little labels. This nurse is going to explain to us how to assess the newborn reflexes, and as she goes through it, she names them all and explains what they look like and shows you some examples with the babies, tells you at what age they should go away, because that can be a sign of a neurological problem if they don't go away when they should. So I'll let her do that explanation, and I'll see you guys on the other side.